What's up, everybody? It is Monday, December 2nd. 'Tis the season to be generous and giving. My name is Corey Evitz, and I am not a rock star. All right, guys, welcome back to Not a Rock Star with Corey Evitz. I am your host, Corey Evitz, and we have a tremendous episode today. Not only is it the beginning of December, it's, December 2nd, which, by the way, is my friend Dan's birthday, so shout out to Dan, happy birthday. And not only are we officially now kicking off this Christmas season on the podcast, but we have the man himself coming on today. We have Santa Claus, guys. I had to pull some strings, but it ends up Santa Claus is my cousin and my uncle and my best friend's father-in-law. So he's going to be riding along with me today. And you know what? I'm looking forward to this. I'm sure I'm going to learn a lot, but I'm also looking forward to confronting him about the botch of 1992 when he and his elf creatures really botched Christmas that year. So he's going to be riding along, and I'm just going to come in hot. I'm going to ask him about 1992, ask him about what happened, and in the words of the late, great Donnie Baker, I'll say it right to his face. Now, before Santa comes on, I am going to be talking to Miss Laura Roberts of Starfish Orphan Ministry very briefly, and she's going to be telling you guys about ways that you can help this Christmas season if you would like to volunteer or maybe donate some toys. We're going to talk about the ways that you can help young children and teenagers in our community. Now, let me quickly tell you how I know Miss Laura. I became aware of Starfish Orphan Ministry probably about 12 years ago, and they do a lot of work in El Salvador and other places helping orphans. And when I would tell people about some of the mission work that Starfish did, one of the things that you would sometimes get is people would say, well, what about kids here in Paducah? Well, actually, Starfish does a ton of work in Paducah. So their mission is to just spread the love of Jesus to everybody and to try to help people abroad and at home. And they do a ton of work at Christmas time. So Miss Laura is going to briefly ride with me, and we're going to talk about how you can donate toys or possibly donate some time this Christmas season. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, my good friend, Miss Laura Roberts. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I am here right now with a real rock star, Miss Laura Roberts of Starfish Orphan Ministry, and she is going to tell you about ways that you can contribute this holiday season. So, Miss Laura, if people would like to make sure that children in this area have toys for Christmas, you have a way for them to contribute to that. Is that correct?
Absolutely. We provide 700 to 1,000 kids each year for Christmas, and that's about 3 to 4 toys a piece, and we're really excited about it this year.
So how can folks, if they would like to donate, can they bring by maybe older toys that their children don't play with anymore, or even if they happen to be out somewhere and they want to buy some like race cars or something and bring them by, how can they get the toys to Starfish? What kind of deadline are you guys on? What would be ideal for you?
Ideally, since it is Christmas, we're collecting new toys for kids for Christmas. Throughout the year, people can donate their used toys, and we have them available. But for Christmas, we'd really like the kids to have new toys. So we are open from 10 to 2 Monday through Thursday. They can drop toys by anytime, and new toys we will put in our Santa's workshop for the kids that we're providing for this year.
And Santa will be very pleased with this. I'm going to be speaking to him here shortly, and I know he will love all of this.
I think it's a great help for him.
He'll be, yeah, he
Takes some of the pressure off.
well, he has told me off camera that elves can get a little lazy under anxiety, but he enjoys when the humans are volunteering like this. So this is great. So we would like people then to come to the Starfish building Monday through Thursday between 10 and 2 with new toys that you guys will then make sure get to a child that needs them. Where is the Starfish building located?
We are at 1000 Broadway, Paducah, Kentucky. And ideally, probably the easiest thing would be to pull up to the back loading dock off of Kentucky Avenue. And there will usually be people out there that will accept those gifts and put them in the right place.
And if you are not familiar with this part of Paducah, I will briefly help you out here. So Broadway is actually the street we're on right now. It's a one-way going towards the river. And if you are on Broadway going towards the river, when you get to 1000 Broadway, the Starfish building will be on your right. If you pull into their parking lot and just circle around to the back of the building, then there is a big loading dock. And if you happen to be on one street over, one block over Kentucky Avenue, that's not a one-way. You can actually come from either direction, but you will just see the big loading dock behind the building. So folks are going to show up between 10 and 2, Monday through Thursday. They're going to come to 1000 Broadway and circle behind the building, and people will be there at the loading dock to receive the toys. Now, what kind of deadline are we on? When do they need to get these to you?
So ideally, we would have the toys by the 15th of December.
Okay, so we need to make sure we get these toys in, guys, by December 15th. And then one more big question, actually two more big questions. Can folks volunteer for any of the things you guys have going on this holiday season?
Not only can they, we must have volunteers. In order to make this happen, we really need people there to help. So Starfish is an all-volunteer organization. We have 0 payroll, so it's essential to have volunteers. That's the only way we can operate. So we need people to come help with that. They can help Monday through Thursday, 10 to 2, anytime between now and Christmas. But we really especially need help the week of the 16th through the 20th, and then again on the 23rd. On the 23rd, we're having a Christmas party for underprivileged children. And we'll have about 75 to 100 kids. And your friend Santa will be there.
Yeah, we're still friends, I think, yeah.
And his wife, she'll be there as well. And there'll be like a live nativity. The kids will make cookies and decorate cookies, and they'll get their picture made with Santa, and they'll pack treat bags for kids overseas, little bags.
Oh, wow.
So it's a really big deal that we do every year, and we need a lot of help with that on the 23rd.
So December 16th through the 20th, especially, you need help, because that's probably the hot spot, or the time, the hot season, I guess, the hot week, when people are really trying to come by and get those toys before Christmas. And then the night of the 23rd, you guys are having a party.
It's the afternoon.
The afternoon of the 23rd, and you definitely need help on that day as well.
Right, but we need to know the help is coming, so they would need to call ahead, days ahead, and let us know that they're available to help with that.
So do you guys have a number that you would prefer they call?
Well, they can call my cell phone because I have it 24 hours a day. So it is 270-519-7340.
Okay, so 270-519-7340.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so you will call Miss Laura and coordinate times for you to volunteer. And then, guys, if you have any extra cash and you're able to go buy some toys to help some children out, do so. and then just make sure you get those toys in by December 15th. And if you have time to volunteer, we really need help between the 16th and the 20th and on the afternoon of the 23rd.
That is great. And we also especially need toys for teens.
Oh.
Or not necessarily toys, but we need gifts for teens because people don't like to buy those as much. So teens, we always run short on teen gifts.
And if they were to call ahead, you could maybe help them with some ideas.
Sure.
All right. Well, guys, we could use your help. Make sure you get a hold of Miss Laura. And Miss Laura, I really appreciate your time today. Thank you so much. And thank you for everything you do.
Oh, thank you for having me, and I'm honored to do it.
All right. Well, thanks. Well, once again, I want to thank Miss Laura Roberts of Starfish Orphan Ministry for briefly coming on to start this episode. Guys, make sure if you have the time or the resources to either volunteer or bring some toys by, make sure you do that this Christmas season. There are a lot of kids in this area that could really use our help. So we're going to throw the number back up on the screen one more time of how you can contact Miss Laura. And, you know, take the extra time. Even if you can't volunteer at Starfish, make time for a half-hour trip to Walmart or to the mall and spend a little bit of extra cash if you have it and get some toys for some area kids. And as Miss Laura said, there's a lot of teenagers too in our area. They may not need toys, but there's other things that they would really love to have for Christmas, and perhaps their family can't afford it. So check in with Miss Laura if you want some advice on what to buy, and do what you can this season, and let's help these kids and these young people in our community. Now, before the man himself, Mr. Santa Claus, gets in, let me tell you about our first sponsor today. We're going to talk about Allen Music in Paducah, Kentucky. Last week I had Brandon Allen on. He is the owner. We had a very fun conversation, and I plugged Allen Music pretty hard last week. I was letting you know how great of a place it is, and you know what? It's still great this week. Make sure you go there. As I mentioned last week, they have a full-time electronics technician. His name is Ted. He's always working on amplifiers and sound equipment. Cord Barger is the guy working on the guitars and the mandolins and the bass guitars and a lot of the instruments. He is one of my best friends on the planet, one of my closest friends, and he works on my guitar every 2 weeks. You're not going to find cheaper guitar strings, cheaper guitar picks anywhere else than Allen Music. So make sure you get all your accessories there. And it is the holiday season, guys. So if you have someone in your life who's a musician and you don't really know how to buy for them, Allen Music can do gift cards. So just go there. You won't be sorry. And if you're thinking about getting yourself a present, if you want that dream guitar, or maybe you think you're going to get some cash for Christmas and you're going to pop in after the new year and buy that guitar that you've always wanted, go to Allen Music. You will not be sorry. Tell them Corey sent you. All right. The man himself's about to get in the van, and let me briefly introduce him. Okay, this particular Santa Claus that we have today is played by Mr. Terry Brandon. Now, Terry is my uncle, Terry is my cousin, Terry is my best friend's father-in-law, and I will further explain that here in a little bit. But he's a very good man, and he has been playing Santa now for over a decade at the Kentucky Oaks Mall in Paducah. He also does a lot of private events and corporate events, but he really, really has a heart to love children and to help families and really brighten people's day and make their Christmas special. So I'm excited to learn all about what he does, what inspired him to be Santa Claus. I'm excited to hear about things that we may not think of because most of us have never played Santa. So make sure you tune in to the end. This is going to be a great discussion. Without further ado, my cousin, my uncle, my best friend's father-in-law, and Santa Claus himself, Mr. Terry Brandon. All right, everybody. Well, I am here right now with the man himself. You probably know him as Santa. Some people call him Jolly Old Saint Nick, Kris Kringle. He goes by several names. But here I am with the man, Mr. Santa Claus. How's it going, Santa?
Going good, going good.
Now, we're going to come in hot today, and I'm just going to go ahead and address the elephant in the van with us. I want to know what happened in 1992. So I asked for a Super Nintendo, Christmas of 92, and instead I got a Randy Savage doll. Can you speak to that? Can you tell me what went on?
Well, if you remember correctly, that's when you stopped believing. So, you stopped believing in me. Why give you what you want?
I understand.
It was between Randy Savage and a Barbie.
Okay.
You got Randy Savage.
Well, I appreciate you then. Thank you. And we'll circle back to that because I have a very entertaining story. You're right. Of course you're right. Right? You know things. That is the Christmas I stopped believing, but I'm glad we got that worked out. Now we're on good terms again. So actually, a lot of people just know you as Santa, but you are my cousin and my uncle and my best friend's father-in-law. And when you're not Santa, you are Terry Brandon. And so real quick, I know that probably confused everybody. I will explain the connection here. So give me 2 minutes here, folks. I try to follow along. My grandpa Evitz married a lady and had 4 children with her, and she passed away at the age of 30, I believe with leukemia or some type of cancer. And then he married my grandma and had 6 more kids. Well, the family decided they would never really split, that all of the cousins and aunts and uncles from the first wife, they would all just do life together and be one big happy family. So your wife, Becky, and my stepdad, Ed, they are related to my grandfather's first wife. And then the second wife was my grandma. So technically, your wife and I are not blood related, but I was always told those were my cousins. And then my mom married your brother-in-law, my stepdad, who was, again, I was told that man was my cousin for the first 25 years of my life. So my cousin became my stepdad. And then in the case of...
Welcome to Southern Illinois.
Yeah, welcome to Pope County, right? And then your wife sometimes wants me to call her Aunt Becky. And I'm like, Becky, that's really weird for me because you were cousin Becky until I was 25. So I'll try to remember to call you Aunt Becky. But I've just always called you Terry or Cousin Terry. But the world knows you as Santa Claus. So that's the connection here. So I'm going to ask you a lot of questions today just about your life in general. But first, let's just talk about being Santa. How long have you been doing that?
I've been doing this about 13 years, I think it is. I started out where, I just had a light beard. I went white early. I would be in Walmart or something like that, and I'd just have a red shirt or something on, and kids would just stare at me, and I would kind of do the and they would just kind of freak out. And then my sister-in-law, the one who owns the chocolate factory, asked me if I would do Santa for them at the chocolate factory. And that's pretty much where I got started there. And then I was walking around in the mall, and when they saw me, they approached me and said that I would make a perfect Santa for the mall. Well, I would have been there 11 years this year, but I had to take last year off due to knee surgery. So I'm in my actual 10th year of doing Santa there.
So if you guys have been to the Kentucky Oaks Mall and interacted with Santa, there is a good chance that Terry was the man behind Santa. When they first approached you, what kind of thoughts were you having? Like, man, I don't know, it might be weird dealing with like young children. What if they pee on me or throw up on me? Or what if they start asking for crazy stuff? Did you have any like fears about taking that job?
Not that kind of fears. My fear would be more like, will I do a good job? Because I have a bad habit of kind of being just personal and talking to them, and I have to concentrate on being Santa. It's just the way I am. And if you need to know which one I am at the mall, I'm the clean Santa because I'm sanitary.
There you go. Santa Terry, that's good. That's good. So it might have been a challenge at first to remember to stay in character. Like,
Yes.
you're a very friendly, outgoing guy. So it might have been hard not to just shoot the breeze with like someone's dad. Like if they had a Team Realtree
Yes.
shirt on. Oh man, where are you hunting at? You can't snap into Terry. You got to make sure you stay Santa the whole time. And that was kind of your fear.
Yeah.
I would have the same fear, by the way.
Unless they're really, really young and they don't really catch on that, the parent might say, are you the one that, done this or that, and we talk a little bit, but yeah. And some people have a bad habit that know me and they'll say, hey, Terry. And then they're like, have you seen Terry? They try to hurry and play it off because they make that mistake too.
And I guess that's the thing, like being from an area like this.
Yes.
If we were in a big city, there might be less of that, but.
Well, because I do Paducah Country Club Christmas buffet brunch. I've done the Santa in Mayfield Airport. I've done Carbondale Parade. I used to do the VA up in Harrisburg before COVID came out and they stopped letting them all gather. I've done National Guard, went up to the Murfreesboro and done National Guard, party for them. I've done McAllister's for a couple of years up in Carbondale. And a lot of people just kind of remembering, I do the Pope County Deer Festival Parade. Been doing that for quite a few years now.
And Our Family Christmas.
Your Family Christmas.
Yeah.
I'll be doing Vienna's Christmas on a Square this year.
So you're pretty much like the guy around here. And I will say, like, I've walked into people's homes before and seen like their picture on their refrigerator. And I had to catch myself one time. Toby, who is editing this podcast, his daughter was younger at the time. So I'm going to say she was probably like 4 or 5. And I walked into his office at his church and saw your picture with his daughter. And I had to catch myself because I was going to be like, that's my cousin Terry. And then I'm like, oh, wait, I can't say that in front of this little girl because she's going to think, well, that's Santa Claus. But yeah, I've seen your picture on things.
I have too. We bought our last vehicle there at Honda. And I happened to look at the guy's desk and I said, that's me. And he looked at it and he said, that is you. So he immediately called his daughter and said, I have Santa here buying a vehicle from me. So he put it on FaceTime and I had to talk to her a little bit while I'm trying to buy a car. But yeah, I've been to a lot of businesses, and on their desk, I'll see a picture of me on there.
Now, do you still get, like in the beginning when they just saw you in the mall and they're like, hey, that guy'd make a good Santa. When you're out of costume, but you're walking around because of the white beard and stuff, I mean, do you get that a lot?
Yes, I do. And I have if I'm in the mall after I'm done, and if I hear someone say Santa, I automatically turn around. Because, I'm like, how did they know? But then I'm like, okay, they're actually talking to the guy that is being Santa at the time.
Let's go back. I'd like to talk about your life, just leading up to being Santa. Again, I've pretty much known you my whole life. I remember when I was probably like 13 or 14 is when we started going to church together, so I got to know you a lot better. And then, as I said a few minutes ago, my best friend Kyle married your daughter. So you and I have been around each other a lot, but I didn't really know a whole lot about, I guess, your childhood and you coming up. So you were telling me that you actually grew up north?
Yes, I was born in Gibson City, Illinois, but when I was 4 or 5, we moved to Rantoul, Illinois, and that's pretty much where I grew up, went to school until in 7th grade, I met my best friend that was from down here, and because I didn't have a really good home life. You know, I'm the youngest of 8, and brothers were pretty abusive and this and that. But anyway, so after I met him and met his mom and his brother and sister, I ended up moving in with them in 7th grade. And they were from down here. His mother moved up there for work. And we would come down here during the summer. Me and him would spend the summer at his grandma's. And then our junior year of high school, some tensions between his stepdad and him, and he said he's moving away from home and he was going to walk here. That's 250 miles. And I had a car, and I said, I'll just drive you. And drove down here, never left until my junior year. I signed up for the Navy. When I graduated, I went straight into the Navy, did 9 years there. And in my 2nd year being in the service, I married who's my wife now, which we've been married for 42 years, and just traveled around. You know, when our daughter was 5, we didn't want her to be having to go to school, you know, as we transferred. So we decided to just go ahead and get out, move back to Pope County, so she'd have the good hometown school to grow up in. Talked about, you know, how I started in on Santa. I've worked on the river out of the Navy, then just recently retired.
When you retired, did your Santa responsibilities pick up? Did you start taking a lot more jobs being Santa?
Well, actually, I still did them all.
Even while you were still working full
Yeah,
time?
because I got up at 3:15 in the morning, because I'm a believer, if you're not early, you're late. Mm-hmm. So I get to work early, get everything going. As soon as I got off work, I had to hurry up and get to the mall, do my shift at the mall, go home, eat, pretty much go to bed, start my day all over again. And then if I had other engagements to do, you know, sometimes I'd take day off to just go volunteer and do Santa at the school, something like that, which I've got a couple. I'm going to go to the schools. You know, I've been doing that for probably 5-6 years now, maybe even longer. But yeah, I'll do like fundraisers, you know, to help somebody to, you know, make some money for their fun, you know, for their benefit. Yeah, I've always been just really busy between when I was working the Santa, help farm, and I help do stuff around the chocolate factory.
And was it pretty like energizing? Like typically if somebody works 2 jobs, by the time they get to the 2nd job, they're like, oh. But for you, was it kind of like a power up, like made you feel really good after a long day's work to be able to hang out with the kids?
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, a lot of the ones that really pick me up, it would be the ones that have disabilities or something. You know, they might have Downs, or because they are, you know, they're just so loving, and they, if it was up to them, they would sit with me all day. And there were some that, I mean, they were young, and every year they would come and visit me. And then last couple of years, I don't know if the people's moved away or what, but I haven't seen them. I finally seen one, but I got 2 new friends, Ben and Riker. They're really nice, cool kids just to hang out with.
So they'll come see you like maybe a few times a week kind of thing? Or?
If they get a chance, yes. There's some that would see me every night. Their parents, the ones that did it, their parents, I mean, did a lot. There's one that would, if he wanted 2 pictures a night, they would buy him 2 pictures a night with Santa. Yeah, I just got really attached to him, and there was one that really I'll never forget and still gets to me is when I got there, got on set, didn't really know what was going on. There was a lot of people around. Couldn't figure out why so many people were hanging out around Santa set. Well, then this one little girl came up, and I asked her what she wanted for Christmas. And she said most of all she wanted was to see her Uncle Dan back from Iraq, because she's missed him. And then I said, well, I'll see what I can do. And around about that time, he come walking around from the back of the Christmas tree, and just the look on her face and her family, you know, when they saw him too, even though they knew he was there, it's a very emotional thing.
Did they tell you beforehand that he was there? Or did you just find that out
Well,
when he walked around?
When I asked, you know, I just happened to just like, why is everybody? And then they kind of explained to me what's going on right before, you know, that's, you know, when I asked her what she wanted for Christmas. But yeah, it was very emotional for me, you know, being a veteran myself.
What are some things that we might not realize, just average folks, because we've never played Santa, that kids ask for? Because they ask for things other than just toys, kind of like the little girl was asking for her uncle to come back. What are some things that they typically ask for that would surprise people?
I've been asked, you know, or the girl mentioned to me that her grandmother has cancer, wanted to know if I could, you know, heal the cancer from her grandmother. Or their parents are always fighting and their dad's moving out. If I could do something to where the parents would get back together and fall back in love again, and because they don't want to see their parents split up, and you know, and stuff like that. And there's times that actually a parent can ruin a moment, because we have signs out, you know, no personal pictures, you know, it's a mall rule thing. You know, there'll be a lady there with a Nikon 3000 with a 1 foot lens, and she's trying to take her own pictures and not, you know, so she don't have to buy none. And they've told her, you know, you can't do that. And this lady goes berserk and screaming how we're ruining her Christmas. And I mean, she just goes nuts. And it's like, no, we didn't ruining your kid's Christmas. You're ruining it for making a scene right here. But we've had that a few times where some will just say, forget it, and grab their kid and walk off.
Is that frequent, like the parents having issues? Is it like a once a week thing?
No, not really. But like I've had, you know, a mother, the little girl asked, you know, say for a Barbie doll or something like that. And the mother's like, don't be asking for stupid stuff. You ask for like books or something. You don't need no ridiculous toys. And I'm like, really? This little girl just asked for a Barbie. I've had some kids, I asked them what they wanted, and they'd tell me some things. And they said if they get more than 3 items, they were going to donate the rest of them to a charity, you know, for kids that don't get Christmas. Which I really feel good about that, you know, because there is quite a few kids out there that do feel generous and thankful for what they do have.
You notice that kids don't just have that, like, I hate to say selfish streak, but like, you know, that streak where they only think about themselves. Yeah, there's a lot of generous children out there too.
Yes, there is. And there is a lot of the me's too. But there's just as many of them that might just ask for 2 things. You know, they might say, well, my mom and dad don't have much, so I just want this. A girl last night, only thing she wants for Christmas is a McDonald's gift card.
Wow.
I said, really? She said, that's it.
So in a lot of ways, you're probably seeing the best and the worst of what we are, which is, I've always said that's what kids are. Kids are like they're fresh out of the box. that's like unadulterated humanity. So you're seeing the best and worst of what it means to be a human, because kids, like a 5-year-old, doesn't really understand that the world doesn't revolve around them, or they don't quite get their place in the world. But then kids are also a lot quicker to love and to
Yes.
trust. So it's like both. Like they can kind of be really selfish or not really understand how they fit in. They can make things about them that they shouldn't. But at the same time, they haven't been corrupted. They haven't been beaten down by life like a lot of us.
Right.
Like, it's easier for them to trust. Is it hard sometimes to not get emotional when a kid asks for something like, can you heal my grandma of cancer, or they want to donate their toys to another little boy or girl? I mean, is it hard to keep it together and stay in character?
There's been a lot of times it's been, I've, told them like something for that. I'd say, Santa doesn't do that type thing. I said, but Santa, if you'd like, I'd pray with you, or I'll pray for her, and then usually they feel good about that. But yeah, there's a lot of things that does make you you can get real emotional about it. You try not to, but there's sometimes it's just hard not to.
Do you ever have older kids that cause issues for the little ones? Like they'll say, I know you're not really Santa, or you ever get that kind of thing? Kids being jerks?
No. I've had one little boy, I think he was around 7. I could tell he was up to something. And he reached up and grabbed my beard and pulled it really hard. And he goes, oh, that is real. I said, yeah, and guess where you're at on the list?
Now, do you ever have parents ask you, like, hey, man, little Trevor's really doing terrible in math. Can you throw a little something in about studying his math? Or tell him if he doesn't do X around the house, he's not getting a toy. Do they ever ask you to do that kind of thing?
Yeah, there's you do that. And sometimes I might hear the child before they get up there, back talking mom or dad or grandma. And I'll tell them, I say, now you do know they have my phone number. And when you act like the way you are, they can call me and they could ask me not to stop at your house. Do you want that to happen? You need to start doing what your mom and dad or grandma tell you. You need to behave in school, because I've been told that you're acting up in school. I've even gone through been in Walmart and heard this little kid just giving his grandma a hard time. I came around the corner and I did my little laugh and I says, you never know where you're gonna see me. I says, and I've heard how you've been talking and yelling at your grandma. I says, I will put this down and remember it. So you need. And the kid got real like, oh my goodness. And the grandma was like, oh, thank you. And then after I walked away, the boy yelled out, I love you, Santa. And the grandma was because I didn't hear that kid screaming no more. I just play off of it, if I do see kids acting up.
In a lot of ways, you wield a lot of power. You're like the king of the children when you think about it, which is kind of terrifying. Like, you could, I know you would never do this, but you could halfway start a riot at the mall if you wanted. You could be like, all right, kids, this is what Santa needs you to do. We're all going to go to Michaelson's Jewelers. I mean, you think about it, like, kids look at Santa, like, I mean, you really are like a superhero to them, and you're like their favorite.
I've had one boy, I worked with his mom and dad. They moved from Louisiana, moved up here. He was 10. So I knew quite a bit about him just from his mom and dad. And he told him he didn't think he believed no more. Well, when he came up there and I was talking to him and asked him how is his dad doing, because his dad had a little episode, and does he like it here other than, better than Houma, Louisiana, where they were from. And I just asked him all kinds of questions and talked to him. And when he left, his mom told me he walked away and said, now I'm really confused, because he didn't know now if he didn't believe anymore.
Because you knew all those details about him. How could that guy know that?
Right.
Yeah. What are some things about the job besides what the kids ask, what are some other things that just regular folks wouldn't understand, or that things that maybe you didn't know about until you took the job?
They love the affection that, I mean, there's some that don't want to leave. They just sit there and they just sit there and put their arms around me, and they just want to stay there, you know, because they like feeling needed or wanted. And you can tell that in some of them, you know, that they might not have that great of a life at home or something. And it's hard to say, okay, you know, you got to go because there's other kids waiting. It's hard to do that then. Usually it's the parent saying, come on, we got to go. He's got other people, you know, to see. And then you'll see some parents that they don't even let their kid look my direction. They don't even want them to say, hey, can I go see Santa?
Do you have a helper? Is there like a 27-year-old girl dressed up like an elf or something?
We do have helpers, and that usually kicks in, you know, closer to Christmas. That, you know, they help talk, you know, they'll get some information from the mom or dad or something and let me know, something like that. And there is a elf costume that they wear to help kind of attract kids and stuff like that.
This is going to get me in trouble. So first of all, the reason I said 27-year-old girl, it's either A Christmas Story or Home Alone or both, where there's some, like, she might even been younger, like 20-year-old girl who's just clearly over it, and she's like chewing gum. I can't remember if it's Home Alone or A Christmas Story. I think in A Christmas Story, either Santa or the elf kicks Ralphie down that slide. But this is what's going to get me in trouble asking this. It just popped in my head. Has there ever been like a legitimate little person apply for a job to play an elf? And if I'm a bad person for even asking that, sorry guys if that offends anyone, but you know, that is a real thing. Like, there are actual smaller folks that volunteer for those types of jobs because they enjoy it. I mean, has that ever been a thing at Kentucky Oaks Mall? No,
I mean, I'm sure we would never turn them away, you know, if they did apply, because we're always looking for some helpers and stuff like it. But I would think that the ones that do, they would have to probably approach, because they probably wouldn't feel right approaching a small person and saying, hey, will you want to be an elf? You know, because that, you know, that could be real demeaning to that person.
Right. Well, what made me think of that is if the elf is like some 5'6" lady or a 6 foot tall man, you might get a real inquisitive child that's like, wait a minute.
Well, we have the elf suit that they wear. It looks like the person is on the elf's shoulders and stuff, like he's holding them up.
Oh, I gotcha.
And
I gotcha. So you guys have thought of that?
Yeah.
Because we can't have a 6 foot tall elf.
Yeah.
I gotcha. Yeah.
And we've got a couple. I mean, one of the helper girls and manager, where she works as a nurse at Easter Seals. The younger girl that's there, she's going to college to work with special education children at Easter Seals. So we do have some really good people there that they relate, you know, to special needs. And like, we have sensory with Santa, that's with kids with autism and stuff that can't handle the noise, that we'll do this an hour before the mall even opens.
Oh, wow.
And we have pet night that we do 2 times a year, and this year it's the December 2nd, December 9th, where you can bring your pets to have pictures, you know, their pets taken with Santa. We do story time with Santa, where I'll read books, you know, they'll gather around, I'll read books to them. And this year we're going to have again breakfast with Santa.
So you guys really try to put a lot of effort into making everybody comfortable, or making it possible for all the kids to have a turn with Santa. And then the people that are helping or part of the presentation, there's a lot of really good people who have a heart for helping folks that may have a disability or just something that requires special attention. And I think that's probably one of the best things about our society, is just in the last few decades, I think people have become more educated about folks that, I mean, sometimes it's not even like a disability or a special needs. Some people just learn differently.
Yeah.
Some people just have like a physical disability, and folks may assume that they have other things too, other challenges, but they really don't. So I think it's good that we're becoming more educated, that like, you know, you can't really come up with some one size fits all thing for children that learn differently or folks with different physical challenges or mental challenges. You really have to, it's individualized. Like each kid has their own special things that they need. So that's great that you guys are paying attention to that and trying to make that experience good for everybody. What do you look forward to the most when you're getting ready to go to work? What's your favorite thing about the job?
Well, I look forward to seeing some that I see every year. There's a family, and it's really grown since they first started coming. And they always come and do a theme deal. Like they've done Vacation with Griswolds.
Oh,
or
yeah.
something like that.
Christmas vacation. Yeah.
Yeah, they do all kinds of, and they dress up as the parts. They'll even bring props. And now they've got, you know, a bunch of, you know, the kids have kids now, and I always look forward to a lot of them. And I mean, there's some, I've had four women feeling good. We'll put it that way. And they would always come and take pictures with Santa, and the photographer would have to remind them they would like to see their hands, what they're doing.
So like they're having their girls' night out,
Yeah.
their little Christmas get together,
Yeah.
and they've maybe gone to Applebee's beforehand and gotten in the zone a little bit, and they're like, let's go see Santa.
Yeah.
You get a lot of that, by the way?
Oh, yeah.
Adults
Yeah.
doing that?
Yeah.
You know, I think people would be curious. In today's society, you can never be too careful.
Oh, no,
when you're
we make
dealing
sure
with minors, so
we make sure you can always see Santa's hands, at least my hands, because we do not want nothing of saying, oh, what was Santa doing, you know, something like that. We haven't had no problems like that.
And you guys have cameras too, right? Like security stuff.
Well, yeah, the mall has cameras around. And plus security's always around. We're really, I mean, it's bad that it has to be like that, but it does.
Well, it's the same reason you have to put locks on doors.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's another one of those things with, you know, like people being assaulted or unwanted touch. I think that society's also come a long way with that, because I would assume that kind of thing probably has always gone on, but now we're more aware of how to prevent that, how to help, you know, people who've been a victim. So it's good that you guys are very intentional about no confusion here.
Yeah,
like Santa has always got his hand.
Helpers, if they need to straighten up a dress, or they ask the parent, is it okay that I, you know, straighten out her dress, or is it okay if I touch him to fix the hair? But they do make sure they ask that, and make sure the parent says it's okay, or if they'll say, or if you want to do it.
How long do you want to keep doing this? How long do you want to be Santa?
Never thought about it.
Just keep doing it until
I just feel like I can't do it, I guess.
I mean, it's got to be one of the coolest jobs in the world. You're making kids' days. You're brightening a lot of children's lives. So, well, thank you for what you do, Terry. You're a good dude. I mean, like I said, I've known you for a long time, and you're a really good guy. But what you're doing is awesome. It's a very valuable service to the entire community, and people drive 30, 45 minutes to go to that mall in Paducah. So you're getting kids from all over this area.
I've had them drive pretty far, and some people, you know, that go there and they're shocked, you know, to see us. And like a girl the other day, she was from Germany, and she says they don't have a Santa. You know, they don't do Santa. So she was kind of shocked to see, you know, a Santa.
That's weird. I thought that like originated in Germany, but maybe not. So they don't do, like, the kids don't go to the mall and hang out with Santa?
Apparently not.
Huh. Well, speaking of which, I probably better get you back, because you are going to be working later today.
Yes, I am. I'll be at the mall at 3 to 7.
Well, Well, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it. And I'm sure I will see you at Christmas.
And just remember, bring your kids, bring your pets.
All right.
Make them both happy.
There you go. Well, Santa, have a great shift tonight, and I'll see you at the family Christmas.
I'll be there.
All right, well, thanks a lot. All right, guys. Well, once again, I want to say thank you to Mr. Terry Brandon, Santa Claus himself, for taking time out of his very busy schedule this holiday season to hang out with me today and teach me a little bit about what it's like to be Santa Claus. So thank you, Uncle Cousin Terry. I really appreciate it. And while I'm saying some thank yous, I want to thank all of you. I typically tell you guys thank you. And last week, the week of Thanksgiving, I told you that I was very thankful for you guys. But I want to reiterate that. I am having a blast doing this podcast. And we are now 3 months into this. And I know that this is going to be a long process to grow our audience. This is, in a lot of ways, like starting over. I have grown a pretty decent following as a live performer, but now I'm trying to grow a following as a content creator. I love this podcast. I love talking to the guests. I love highlighting the real rock stars. And it is our hope that next year we will start a second podcast and continue to do this one. And I'm also trying to start releasing music pretty much every year. And I have an album coming out here in 6 or 7 weeks. But that's something that I want to start doing all the time as well. I don't want to quit being a performer. I always want to perform. But now I'm trying to offer more. And I just want to tell all of you how thankful I am that you are faithful to listen to this podcast. We have very, very, very modest numbers right now. But there are folks who never miss an episode. And you mean so much to me. And maybe you just got on. Maybe you heard episode 8, 9, or 10, and now you're curious and you may start listening to every episode. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in. And Toby and I are going to keep doing everything we can to bring on tremendous guests, and we're going to keep trying to improve the audio and visual quality as we go. And the more support you give us, we'll be able to put more money back into the podcast. But I am so grateful for those of you right now who are faithful listeners and watchers of this. Thank you so much. I hope you guys have a tremendous Christmas season. And we've got some great stuff lined up this month, so keep tuning in for the rest of the year. And before I sign off, let me tell you about Metropolis Music and Media. So I've been telling you every week that Toby can pretty much do anything media related. He is the owner of Metropolis Music and Media. But maybe now, since we're in December, maybe you need some stuff made for the holidays. Maybe you need custom Christmas cards. Maybe you want to put together a little video. I know Toby is now offering something called a family heritage video. So he can highlight some of your family's history for you. So if you would like something like that done this holiday season, contact Toby at Metropolis Music and Media. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate you, and I thank you all for hanging out with me today. Remember, I may not be a rock star, but I am getting to meet and talk to the real rock stars, and I'm having a blast. My name is Corey Evitz. I live a pretty rock and roll life. I'll see you guys next week.